Boom, coming in hot, Chinchy. What's up, brother?
What's up, man? I just got my what do you call it? My chimney swept so I can get a little fire going for
Dude,
Thanksgiving.
it's interesting you said that because I'm ripping fires all the time outside.
Uh-huh.
I gotta get that checked. You know, you can get like
Yeah.
creosote up there. We gotta get those checks. I gotta get that
Dude,
checked.
they had some bucket, like a big bucket full of stuff that was whatever was in there. The
Really?
scariest thing is like, yeah, because when the fall comes, the leaves can get in there and you can set fire to the
Yeah,
leaves.
yeah. You don't need that. You don't need that. Do you burn that a lot during the winter?
Honestly, I always forget to get it done before like the holidays. And
Yeah.
so I almost last year, I don't think we did it, but somehow I remember this year. I'm the king of the castle right now. Jess is so happy that I remember.
Dude, I tell you what, man. I love burning wood. I was out there
Me
yesterday.
too.
I was reading a couple books. I was out there for 3 hours yesterday. I put the fire on. I literally took a half-hour nap, and I listened to. I read some books, and I was like, "This is incredible." But now that's my Montana room where it's outside,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's so nice. We get that fire going. You're up close to it. It actually heats you up. I almost burnt my slippers on. My slippers on. I was like, "Oh my god!" I fell asleep with my feet up, dude. My freaking
no.
dude, the bottom of my foot was on fire. Like, oh my god.
That's
So I was 2 minutes away from setting my feet on fire,
That'd be
legitimately.
terrible. That'd be terrible. All right. It is holiday time, and everybody like this is such a rough time at work for a lot of people. You have like your performance reviews and all that kind of crap and whatever. But a lot of people like rely on like their Christmas bonuses, right, to get through the holidays. They use that stuff. You had a great idea today talking about something similar to that. It's basically the baseball bonus.
Yeah.
And what is that? Explain the whole.
Well, you know what? I was just reading one of the headlines today at MLB.com was Dodgers championship shares top record-setting postseason pool. You don't think much about it when you see it. As a matter of fact, you probably think the rich get richer. You're like, oh man, Los Angeles postseason shares were worth $477,000. Wow. Part of a record-setting pool of nearly $129 million. So think about that. Those guys are playing an extra month, playing all those extra games. They're not. Their salary ends at the end of September, so there's a pool of money that goes into like the revenue sharing of the gates, the merchandise, the TV contracts, all that stuff goes into this big pool. And as teams move up, so that's why your incentive to win it is for the players that won. I don't know how many shares there are. I want to say there's 40 shares maybe for each team. So each player got $477,000 extra. But the big thing is not the players, dude. This is where you're a coach and you're like, man, the reason I'm a coach for the Yankees is because we got a shot to go to the postseason every year. I need that, I need that money. Trust me, I know some of the guys that don't make a ton of money that they need that money. I remember, I think Andy Van Slyke back in 2006 when I was with the Tigers and we went to the World Series. I want to say Andy was making like $80,000 a year to be the first base coach for the Tigers. Like you talk about needing that paycheck because those guys and those coaches work harder than anybody. So,
Right.
So you go back, you look at like the Yankees got $354,000 to lose the World Series.
Wow.
The Mets got 179 to get to the NLCS. The Guardians 182, and then it goes down. Tigers, Royals 50, and if you don't get out of the first round, it's like $10,000. But it's a nice little bonus. But dude, Chinch, you get together and have like a bids meeting. Like this is a big deal. But you get together and bids meeting, and so. Yeah, I don't know how many of the shares there are. I want to say there's 40 shares. So if there's 27 players, maybe there's 50 shares. So you have to look at the guys that have gotten called up during the year. So say there's a guy that got called up for 2 months and he raked. You're like, okay, man, give him a fifth of his share. And then, so you go down. That's how you do it. You have to vote on these guys. So like the training staff might get a share. The strength coaches, maybe you give the whole strength coaches a share. And they split it, or you give the main guy one share, and you split. The other strength coaches get half a share or something like that.
Interesting.
Yeah. So like, dude, a lot of people. So all the coaches get shares, and you don't have to give shares to anybody. The players don't have to give shares to anyone. They could just take that money and be done.
Wow.
So like
sometimes there have been like reports. You would know better than me, but like those meetings can get a little heated, right? Like. Sometimes like people don't want to give the money away, and other guys are like, "How can you not give the money away?" I've read stuff about that. I don't know if you know for fact that happens or.
You're right.
Yeah.
They get really heated. And like sometimes, some players be like, oh, dude, he's paid by the front office. Like he doesn't get anything. You're like, but dude, he's done so much for us all year. He's the, whatever. He's traveling secretary. He deserves a full share. And then, dude, you have legit, it gets heated in there.
Interesting.
Heated debates. I want to tell you that the worst bids meeting I ever had was, this is a big mistake that I would never make again in my career. In 1999, we went into that series against Milwaukee, 3-game series. We have to win 2 out of 3, and we win. I mean, we're basically going to be in, right? And we all know what happened. We end up losing 2 out of 3.
Right.
Got to a 1-game playoff against the Mets and lost in that 162 lighter game. But we had our bids meeting on an off day in Milwaukee the night before that series started.
When you were not sure.
We were not surely in yet. Yeah. And we went through and it was my first bids meeting ever. I was 25, very heated bids meeting. There was a couple of veteran guys that didn't want to give money to certain guys. And, I didn't even know what to say. I didn't even know what a bids meeting was back then, And so I'm kind of like sitting back, but like you got guys like Barry Larkin and Greg Vaughn and Pete Harnish and all these different guys fighting for certain guys. Then you got other guys who are like, no, F him, and so there's also, personalities too. Like you might all love a guy, but that guy is screwed over a couple of those players and those guys are fighting. No, let me tell you a story about he screwed me over. So he doesn't get a share. Yeah. So it did get heated in that meeting. But, and like I said, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. I mean, we probably never should have had that bids meeting the night before a 3-game series that we needed to win 2 out of 3. So don't ever do that. It's not a good idea.
That is a great story, dude. And it's very interesting. I remember back in the day when I was at ESPN, because you guys also tip, right? You tip at the end.
Oh, yeah, you tip. Yeah, you tip.
Whatever. There was this guy, there was this clubby. We did this thing at ESPN where Harold Reynolds went and was a clubby ball boy for a day, and their clubbies and the ball girl came and did Baseball Tonight. It was a very fun exercise. And Harold was there, and there was a guy, you might know him. His name was Pookie. Is that his name?
Oh yeah, Pookie. Yeah, Pook's the best for the Red Sox.
Yes. So
Pookie is the visiting clubby.
Okay, so they're walking around, and Millar was still on the team. This is how long ago it was, and they were funny. Like Millar made Harold shine everybody's boots and shoes and stuff. It was a really fun idea by the Baseball Tonight guys. But I remember Harold's walking around. Oh, they made him go to McDonald's and get McDonald's for the entire team. Right. And when he's coming back from McDonald's, he's standing there with Pookie, and he's like, wait, we're in a player's lot. And he's sitting there with the player's lot, and he's like, whose car is this? And it's a Ferrari, and it's oh, that's Manny's, that's Poppy's. And he's like, oh man, whose Porsche or whose Mercedes is this? This is a C23 whatever Mercedes. And Pookie goes, oh, that's mine. I was like, what? And he's like, oh yeah, the guys got me that last year for my bonus on top of my bonus. And Harold's like, that's the nicest car I've ever seen. He's like, hey man, he's like, we pay for those bonuses, man. We work for those bonuses. I thought that was an amazing story.
Dude, that's a great story because it's true. First off, Pookie's the best, and all those guys out there, Kenyatta and those guys in Boston are incredible. I got to see them again this year when I was there. But cool. I remember Barry Larkin bought Rick Stowe. Rick Stowe is the head clubby for the Reds. One day we all came out to the parking lot. Lark's like, everyone come out and bought him a nice Mercedes.
No way. That's
as a thank you gift. Yeah, I think it might have been Lark's last year. So I think it was a really kind of a going away gift. But dude, the clubbies, seriously, bro, you want to talk about the unsung heroes?
Yeah.
The clubbies in these cities are incredible. I mean, like I said, Rick Stowe in Cincinnati is one of the best. His brother Mark is too, and all those guys, Josh and everybody that's there too, Morton, those guys.
Yeah.
And then even Rob Kakuza in New York. I mean, the guy, as soon as I get there, the first guy I'm dealing with is Rob. Hey, we got your locker set up. Here's all your stuff. What do you need? Go through the So those guys are great. I mean, up and down. Jim Schmeichel in Detroit when I was there. I mean, there's so many good guys. Bones out there in Pittsburgh, one of the best. Just guys up and down. But I tell you what, you're right, Chinch. You do tip these guys at the end because they do so much for you. They're you want to talk about people that are there the earliest. The clubbies are there. They might be there Some of them sleep there. I mean, they got laundry to do. They got to get your stuff ready for the game. They got to shine the shoes. They got to get the spreads out. They got to, after the games, they got to tidy up. They're doing so much. They do so much. And I used to love tipping the clubbies at the end of the year, and the guys that help me. Usually, you have one or two of the assistant clubbies that's where you give the big money to. Yeah. And but listen. Times have changed. I realized this when I was in New York last year. Times have changed as far as the clubbies go. This is good for our audience to understand. There's a whole society that's outside of these players, right?
Sure.
But the thing that's different now, Chinch, is a few years back in the collective bargaining agreement, the Players Association now the team pays the dues. So this isn't good for the clubbies.
Interesting.
So it turned out it kind of screwed the clubbies. So what happened was, instead of the players paying out dues like we used to, now the team picks it up.
Really?
Well, that's not good, because back in the day, the big money players would tip these guys big money, and they would overpay. So what's happening now is you're getting these veteran guys these young kids are coming in the league. They don't understand the system of taking care of the clubbies and how big of a deal that is. They just don't know. So now you need veteran players to be like, no, dude, you need to tip these guys big money. You need to
do they do it on top? You think they do it on top of it?
I think they do. I think they do. I think they do now. I think there was a little bit of a lull there. It was kind of a weird thing.
That's interesting. It's like when you go to a restaurant and they say tip included. That's kind of screwy to the people that work there.
I do. That's one of my pet peeves is when you include 18%, I give you 18%. If you don't include it, I give you 30.
Yeah.
But if you include it and say tips included, I'm like, So, dude, I'm serious when I say one of the problems is the veteran guys now don't necessarily know how to tip out these clubbies.
Right.
And it's like, oh man, no, you got to give him more. You got to give him thousands of dollars if they're doing a good job, if they do a good job. But these guys work so hard.
Right.
These guys work they literally the MVPs of the teams. You talk about, your gear, everything they do, like ordering stuff, getting stuff for you. Hey, can you get me this? No problem. I mean, incredible. Rob Kakuza last year was so cool. He always called me coach, and I'd be like, hey, Rob, I hate the body. Ain't you? No problem, coach. No problem, coach. I'm like, man, it makes you feel so good.
Yeah.
Seriously, that when those guys take care of that stuff. So, the bonuses that go to the coaches, the bonus that go to the clubbies, and hopefully these guys are tipping the clubbies even more at the end of the year on top of those bonuses.
More than the $2 tips that Adam does.
Ooh, yeah.
That's the funniest story.
$2 tips. The $2 tips, and also the when I drove, talking about you got Pookie's driving a Mercedes my first year in spring training when I drove in with the Honda Accord LX with dents in the front. They wouldn't let me in the parking lot.
Funny. I remember. I got one quick one on that. That's so funny. It's the 2003 World Series. So it's Yankees and Marlins, and back then, you forget Miguel Cabrera. That was his coming out party.
Yeah, he raked. He raked in that World Series, right?
12 years old, right? And so he hit the big home run. I think it was the game that Wells' back went out, and it was it went like 13, whatever. He hit this big home run, and I'll never forget this again. Back at Baseball Tonight, I had to go with our camera crew and shoot the arrivals of the players. So we were standing by the where the players drive in, and they're like, we got to make sure to get that Cabrera kid. We got to get his entry so we can start the show with that.
Right.
Now, I didn't know what he looked like because back then, the internet wasn't the same. Right. I don't even think his picture was on his
You had to get the yearbook or whatever.
Yeah. So I was like, shit, and I'm like, I don't know who he is. I don't know whatever. And so I'm just waiting. I'm like, well, he's probably gonna have one of the cheapest cars, right, or something like that. And I'm watching these cars pull in. And who had back then the Escalade was the car with the spinning rims and Escalade, Porsche, Mercedes, and I see this one car and he hadn't come in yet. Finally, I see this car come and I'm like, oh my god, that's got to be him. This thing is so fancy, whatever. It's the fanciest Escalade I've ever seen. Looked like it was a $500,000 Escalade. And the guy gets out and it was Louis Soho. And I remember going, God, these baseball players make so much money. This guy played 35 games this year, and he has the nicest car I've ever seen in my life. I don't know.
That's because you know what? It's from all the bonus money he got from the Yankees checks back in the day.
There you go. Anyway, that's a great story. It's a great holiday story. Tip your bartender.
These guys are
Tip your who else do you tip? You tip your mailman. Tip
Tip your garbage man.
guys.
Yeah, those guys, garbage man, the recycling guy that's taking your junk.
Yep, exactly.
Tip that guy. Tip your mailman. Who else should you tip?
Tip everybody, man. I like
tip if you have a cleaning lady, tip your cleaning lady.
There you go. If you have a cleaning lady, you definitely have money to tip people. So you tip your cleaning lady.
Yeah, do you have a cleaning lady?
We don't, but it's really more because of the pets. But
Okay.
we have all robotic things here. I have like Roombas all over the house.
Oh, dude, I have the Roomba. That thing's legit. That thing actually works, dude. It reads your room and then.
That's amazing. Yeah, so we do that. Anyway. All right, man. That's a great show. Great idea today.
Yeah, great stuff, dude. That's great stuff. Hey, listen, I know the Yankees and the Dodgers will be buying some nice Christmas presents for their families. That's all I know.
Very nice. All right, brother.
All right, Chinsey, have a go. Hope you feel better, bro. I know you're a little stuffed up, real nice.
Sinusitis.
But let's lock it in. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll do one tomorrow.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right, let's do it. And don't forget, Breakthrough Pro coming to you soon.
Yep.
See you, bro. Love you, man.
Love you.
Thanks, everybody.